All right, she's an All-American. She's a national championship. And hey, I'm lucky to call her friend as well. She's Kelli Braitsch. She joins us now. She's been on the podcast several times already, and you guys love her energy. I love her energy as well. And I really want to focus this today on Gabbie Garcia, one great shortstop, talking about another great shortstop. But Kelli, I want to start here. The 5-peat did not happen, but they still made a deep run in Oklahoma City, won the SEC regular season crown. When you look back now at this past season, do you call it a success? And just what were your overall thoughts with what happened this past year?
Oh, absolutely a success. I mean, you take what did we graduate 13, half the team basically, and you take them, replace them basically all. Your ones that are your leaders are, sophomores who've been there. And then you take them almost back. I mean, we're considered what, third or fourth place by the final thing. I mean, everyone talked about, oh, it's going to be a rebuilding year. It's going to be a rebuilding year. But, and I mean, coach has said it numerous times. She was surprised how well they did, on all levels when they started comparing the batting notes and stats and stuff like that, and the pitching stats. Like everything was pretty, on par with everything. And so, I mean, I think our fans, of course, are so spoiled because of 4 in a row, which I totally get, because you want to have 10 in a row if you can. But I think of the last 5 seasons, this team is the most impressive because they've followed the 4. And they were never expected to do anything what they did, and they did it, and they did it well. And which is great for the future, because now you got, 3 more years of basically what you saw. You got your transfers that come in and out, but we should be pretty darn good next year. I mean, it's going to probably still be the top, us in Texas. Texas Tech obviously reloaded a ton of people too. So I think I'm more excited about the future of this group than I was the other one. You kind of got like, oh, we expect you to win. If you don't win, good golly, But this team is, man, and they're young and they're hungry, and that is something that is just that gets you a different level of fire than you've ever seen. So I'm super excited for the following season. This was a great season, but this next season is going to be even better.
You just said that this group, they're very hungry. And I think if you pay attention to the program at all or listen to Coach Gasso at all, you can easily see that. Like, I was laughing in the postseason to where Coach was like, hey, they weren't celebrating this. And I'm telling them, like, hey, you guys just did something really cool. Like, celebrate this. This is a big moment. It's like they're so hungry. They're so focused.
Yeah.
The Coach Gasso even has to come in at times and be like, hey, guys, it's okay to celebrate this. This is pretty cool.
Well, and I also think there's a level of expectation in the media, fans and everything that you get, that they're like, oh, well, we can't celebrate because we haven't won. We haven't won at all. And so they're not, they probably are ranking themselves differently because of that, that's where Coach Gasso's like, guys, you don't know what you just did. Like this is unusual. Yeah. Yes, they want you to do this, or they expect you to do this because it's happened so often, but you got to celebrate this because you're babies, you're newbies, and Coach, I did chuckle a few times with Coach. Coach is like, nobody's celebrating this. And of course I laughed because you had a fine balance with Coach about celebration on our group, because there was a part of you that's like, act like you've been here before. And then there's that part of you that's like, oh my gosh, yay. And so Coach is trying to get that balance back to them. And so I loved it that she was like, nobody poured water on me. Nobody did. They just kind of all looked at me like, okay, we're on to the next step. And she was like, let's celebrate. And when Coach gets excited, you should get excited too. So.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons we're so excited moving forward is because of Gabbie Garcia. Like, I truly think that she's going to be and has a great chance to be the next great shortstop in Oklahoma. And I've got a few questions about her, but I want to start offensively, because what Gabbie did defensively didn't necessarily shock me. I was still very impressed with how smooth she was. But offensively, I was surprised how much power she brought to the plate. And maybe the coaching staff was surprised how much power she brought to the plate her true freshman year. I mean, Kelli, she led the team in home runs with 20. Why do you think that happened? Why do you think she had so much early success with her power numbers? And I'm interested to hear just what you thought of her season offensively, just kind of as a whole.
Um, well, I would say to start off with, she probably hits so well and plays so well because of her mother, Kara Garcia. She was, I believe, a year ahead of me at Arizona State. I mean, you have the breed of your parents that help you, and she obviously was very successful. Was part of the Olympic national program. She was my roommate. And so you have that birthed into you, and then you have that high expectation of your parents anyways, because you know, if your parents are athletes, you got to be at least as good as them. And so I think her upbringing helps her be where she is right now. Her batting though, I got to tip my hat to JT. Obviously somebody did something. I don't remember what Simmer team she played for, if it was, the Batbusters or whatnot, but the way that we teach the kids now, and the apps and the bats and stuff like that, and you can learn so much of the mechanical, your velocity and your swings and all that, and the trajectory of stuff. I think that helps a lot educate the kids long before they even get to college, especially if you've got those really high competitive kids, because their parents are dropping thousands of dollars on those bats that tell you everything that you can to make them great. And so I think that is probably a lot of it. And then JT, of course, just fine tunes it here and there. I think a lot of it would be the mental health, sports psychology aspect of it. You learn how you can see all of them. Doesn't matter what team they play for. They get up there and they're doing their, and they relax themselves. And I'm sure her mother probably told her too, like, hey, you're a freshman. You're not supposed to do any of this. So if you do it, hey, surprise, you're going to surprise everybody. So I think some of it, she surprised herself, because I remember the one, what was the really big comeback one that they had at Arkansas. Yeah, where she hit the home run and she looked completely surprised herself. So I think right, right. So I think a lot of it is just, you're doing your job, your focus, see the ball, hit the ball. Oh, the ball went real far. And then you can celebrate it. And so I think it's just she's very mechanical. She's very like just, the fundamentals of everything she does, which once again, tip her hat to Kara, her mom, that she's probably just using all of that. And then you have, it's always nice to have, you got your coaches, your hitting coaches, you've got your teammates that you talk about things. And then she can get on the phone with her mom and be like, hey, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said this, and then, JT tells him to breathe and just swing, and then everything goes perfect. So, I will say I was surprised. I would be surprised with any freshman hitting as many home runs as she did. But when you look at her swing, it's such a beautiful swing that's going to happen. And, her defense, I think I was probably more surprised by her defense because, hitting and defense are so different. It's hard to teach everything you need to know in defense. It's more, you have to experience it. You have to do it. And I think I was most impressed with how she went from a summer high school ball shortstop to a college shortstop. Her transition, I feel like, usually takes a little bit longer. And I feel like she just always put herself in the right spot, or usually put herself in the right spot. Obviously, she's got a great arm. So even if she puts herself in a kind of a long throw, she's got that powerful arm. And a few times I saw her go to the 5-6 hole, and then she threw it on the ground to bounce it, because that's a quicker throw than most. And I hate to say that, that's something you have to learn. And she obviously picked it up much quicker than I think most shortstops do. The one thing that I noticed through the season too is her transition into a leadership role. She kind of, and I've been there, I was a freshman shortstop too. You have all, I had Ashley Barrett, Jennifer Stewart, Lisa Carey, Lakeisha Washington, and they were in the infield with me, and they kind of like, you're like, I'm not going to say anything to them. I mean, Lisa was an All-American. I think Ashley was an All-American. Stewart was probably All-American at that time. And you kind of think, be quiet. You don't know anything. And then you slowly learn that the shortstop is such an important verbal role. And so I noticed like throughout the season, she slowly started picking up on that, her verbal stuff, just talking, communication, whether she walked up to the pitcher and was like, hey, are you okay? You doing good? You like stop focusing on this or that. And that's something that you just don't see in freshmen, especially I feel like that's something that's kind of gone by the wayside. Now, coach is very good about telling you, hey, you gotta do this now. Cause I remember coach being like, you're never this quiet, start talking. And I'm like, oh, okay, and you do. And then all of a sudden your infield starts to form together with everyone. And you could really see that transition. And of course, you obviously you have three people, uh, Nelly and her and Agbayani all together that haven't really played together other than, fall. So you got to get that, the pattern of how everybody moves and whatever he does and stuff like that together. And they really just, I was so impressed that I think that was the most fun that I saw within her throughout the years. She just grew into a leadership player.
And that's exactly where I was going to go next is she just looks so poised. Like, it's not easy. I mean, she made it look easy at times, but it's not easy to be a shortstop at Oklahoma. It's such a high profile position with players like you previously, Grace Lyons, Tiare's played there before. Like, there's a tradition of excellence at that spot. You are the shortstop of Oklahoma. Oh, and you're a true freshman shortstop at Oklahoma as well. And, just throughout the year, just so poised, calm, cool, and relaxed. And not to say that every play that she made was perfect and that she didn't make mistakes. She did make mistakes, which makes it even more impressive that she was still so calm, cool, and poised.
Yeah.
Like talking about it with you, I was impressed by the offense. I was impressed by the defense. It looked so smooth. Just the way how poised she was and how confident she seemed as a true freshman in that spot, surrounded by other young players as well. I mean, I don't know. It just makes me even more excited about what her future looks like with this program.
Yeah, with her coming in, it reminded me a lot of when I was a freshman. I started in right field because I was doing really good on hitting, but my defense at short and second were just, it wasn't computing to the college level. And then we needed a change a couple months into the season. And coach is like, hey, I'm going to start you at short today. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Haven't been in there for a minute, some dirt. Okay, let's go do this. And, Leah was at third with me and Lakeisha at second. Lisa Carey was at first. And so you kind of had the same dynamic with Sid and Agbayani, even though she's new to the team. She obviously had played there for a little bit. So you got two newbies on one side, two senior players in the game on the other side. And it just takes, like I said, a little bit of working together and it'll gel. And I can tell you, coach had more than one conversation with her about, okay, this is my baby, the shortstop position. And she, I know, worked her at practice in every single awkward throw, awkward fielding position, awkward everything, and got her absolutely prepared for it. And then as she got comfortable at that position, that's when she started working on okay, now let's get a voice. She baby steps it up and delivers it out perfect to you because of course she's Coach Gasso. And it just all of a sudden comes together and then everything else starts working its way in. And it was awesome because I felt like it was like total repeat of the 2000 team and how they ended up working out. So, and I'm super excited for, I won't say I know she's going to start, but I have a really strong feeling that Sid Barker is going to come in and play first next year. She obviously did an amazing job with hitting and though she never played first because she was originally a shortstop, the way she was able to maneuver at first base, very athletic style. Usually you have to kind of like teach the first basemen that have never played, like you got to step this way, you got to stretch that way. Man, she was doing it all. And I mean, just true athlete, obviously, digging out some balls from those shortstops that throw those short hops and make the first basemen mad. Sorry to all my first basemen because I know I've done that. But so her coming, which like I said, I assume she's coming in to do that next year. That is just, I mean, you got the power, you got the defense. It's going to be beautiful.
I did a projected starting lineup a few days ago, and I have Sid Barker at first base, and that's what I'm hoping happens because, like you, just a natural athlete, had a great year offensively. Just big fan of her. Okay, one more question on Gabbie, and I kind of want to ask about the rest of the infield. Great freshman year. If you want to say she exceeded expectations, depending on what your expectations were, great year. What's next? What's the next step that Gabbie Garcia needs to take as she's about to enter year 2?
Well, normally I would say you're going to have a sophomore slump, and it's not a sophomore slump of she's doing really anything wrong. It's that I worry she's going to put too much pressure on herself. But once again, we have the sports psychologist that we didn't get to have. And, I hope she continues to stay calm and relaxed like we saw through all of it. And she comes in and picks up and looks just like Parker and Pickering did on their sophomore year. Because you always have that, oh God, are they going to hit that? And I want to say it's gone away, but I don't want to jinx anybody either. I think we've worked through it differently. And so she may start out a little slow because she's going to get that pressure on her. She's going to put that pressure on herself. But I think she's going to break through it so quickly you're not even going to notice. And I think, I mean, if she's not first team All-American next year, I would be surprised.
I think a lot of us would. I think a lot of us would. You know, that's just
Yeah.
it's how impressive she is. Seriously, I think that she is a part of an infield next year. That if there's a better one in college softball, I'd like to see. Clearly there's going to be other really good infields across the sport, but with Nelly at third, Gabbie at short, Agbayani, who I still don't think gets enough credit at second base. She won a Gold Glove. I agree with you. I think Sid Barker's going to be at first. But just knowing who your third baseman, shortstop, and second baseman would be, I still feel comfortable just with those three players, saying that I think both defensively and offensively, it's going to be an elite infield. So let me ask you about the two others that I think are going to be starters next year. Nelly voted as a captain her redshirt freshman season. And a lot like Gabbie, didn't look like she was a first-year player, didn't look like she was a first-year starter, calm, cool, and composed. Just a solid player over at third base. You can always count on her. She's going to be good defensively. She's got a really good bat. I was super impressed about Nelly. What did you like about her?
Definitely very, very chill, very calm. Like you would have never, she just seemed to work into that leadership position so easily. Like you would have never noticed she was not, obviously she didn't play last year because of her injury, but you would have never thought anything different. You would have probably thought she was a junior with that C on her. She's just, and I think that, sitting out that year and learning all the things, seeing all the things, because, just because you're out during the season for an injury or whatever, if you're redshirted, believe me, you are working on something in that dugout because there may be two people without some sort of object in their hand, whether it's, writing down the pitches or keeping some sort of log for whatever coach wants, basically. So I think she just sucked all that in. And of course, she was around all the other players, those seniors last year. And I really think she just sucked that in and projected it right onto the field. And I like how she, overall is pretty steady Eddie, kind of like Tiari was. But then every once in a while she has that fire in her and it just bloops up a little bit. And so, man, I could see her and, Garcia being the captains next year. I know the team picks it, but, I could see those two for sure being captains next year.
Agbayani came over from BYU as a shortstop, and she moves from shortstop to second base, won a Gold Glove this past year. What'd you think about Ailana's season?
Well, I'm not surprised she moved over because coach always has those shortstops that she's like, oh, we'll just put you here. Like Keisha Washington was a shortstop. And I was a second and shortstop. She technically recruited me for second. So I went the other direction awkwardly. But that's just, that's what coach does. She gets all those very talented shortstops that can play all the positions. Obviously, Jada played shortstop too. And so it's just, man, she can cover so much area because she was a shortstop, and second baseman has a lot of area to cover too, but that shortstop's just a tad bit wider. And so I guess I wasn't surprised because she was a shortstop. And obviously when they came out to play, in our tournament 2 years ago, she did great. And I know why coach, when she entered the portal, was like, we'll take you. Thank you. And so I'm excited for her leadership also. She's a silent one too, but man, I like it when she does, I like it when she gets up to hit, because you're not sure if she's going to hit it over the fence or if she's going to do that slap. And I was similar the same way, but I couldn't slap because I tripped over my feet. I do the bunt or the swing away, and it's so much fun to play with the defense like that. So I really enjoyed her doing that, because it's like, I'm going to either slap it down your throat, or I'm going to hit a line drive over the fence. You pick. You set up your defense however you want to. I'm going to figure out a way on base. So I'm very excited about her too.
8 pitchers right now is what they have for next year. Lowry back, Deal back, Monticelli back, Bordy back. And then you got 2 incoming freshmen coming in. I think Allyssa Parker is going to be a star potentially right away. Riley Zakay's sister, Berkeley Zakay, is coming in. Then you've probably seen the 2 transfer portal pitchers they've gotten. Sydney Berzon,
Yes.
number 1 pitcher out of LSU, and then Miley Wachenio. We are talking on Wednesday morning. It's just been hours since she committed to Oklahoma. Feels like next year's pitching staff is going to have more depth, and maybe they have more answers at starter outside of your number 1. A way too early look. Like, what do you think about what the pitching staff could look like in 2026?
Well, I didn't realize it was up to 8. I missed a few there, because some of the freshmen I don't always. I'm like, wait, is she a pitcher shortstop? Is she you never know, because Lisa Carey pitched in some games, and some people would be really surprised to hear that, but she pitched in summer ball and high school ball. And so that was like, when we had injuries, she would hop in there. So, I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't redshirt at least maybe 1 or 2 of them, just, to help them grow. That seems to be, that's usually only a thing in football. And now it's started to become a thing with the transfer portal, I think, in softball. So she may try to get some of those freshmen just some good experience in the practice of the game and everything else like that, and then do a red shirt, because you can always break the red shirt. It's not a big deal. But I would say currently I'm most excited about Allyssa Parker, because she's from Oklahoma, and she's from small town Oklahoma, which I really love. And then I obviously the LSU girl Bergeron is. I mean, when she entered the portal, I was like, oh yeah, come on, coach, we want to get her. And then I didn't even, obviously the Old Miss pitcher was snuck into the portal. As I read the other day, they're like, she was only in the portal for a few seconds and she snuck in there. But I remember watching her and the former Baylor pitcher were really good at OSU with Binford. They really led Old Miss last year. So, I mean, it's nice to know that pitching has become by committee, and it's such a big deal. And we just didn't have a lot of pitchers this year compared to what pitching staff, Texas has got 5 and they just rotate them all and stuff. And so I think that's really good for just like the long games. All the games have become longer than they used to be. And so I think that's good for just rotating in and out and pitching by committee, like what we do now. And I haven't seen a lot with the sisters. Are they twins or just sisters? Okay. Yeah, Zakay sisters. I haven't seen a lot with them. I usually I just read the stuff that our Oklahoma fans post on the page, because that's the easiest way to get it done. I haven't seen a ton of stuff with them, but I've heard all the wonderful things about all these pitchers coming in. Bordy, getting the go, looked at a lot of stuff with her. And so it's going to be really about fighting tooth and nail on who wants to be the best to get in the lineup as the normal rotation. And obviously Deal's going to be the senior leader, and she's going to help mold all these guys, and Peyton too. And then your incoming ones that have transferred in, they've been there, they know what they're doing. Now they just have to learn Coach Roach's style, which from what I understand is the easiest thing in the world, because she just is so, I never have seen her get excited and she's just so calm, cool, and collected that that'll be an easy transition. And most pitchers are surprised. The ones I've talked to, they're like, yeah, she's just like super chill. And I was like, she's always been that way. Even when she pitched, she was that way. So, I mean, I think it's going to be, man, with that much backup in the pitching position, man, that's a good load, because everybody has an off day, whether you're hitting, pitching, defense, whatever. Everybody's got a bad day. So when you have somebody to be like, dude, I got you because you had that bad day, let me go handle this, and have 8 to choose from. I mean, I don't know where we're going to put them all to warm up, but at least we'll have them there. So I'm excited for them too.
Yeah, well said. Allyssa Parker, I get to talk to her a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't be more excited about her. And like you, like I grew up in Oklahoma, so she's an Oklahoma kid. Really rooting for
Yep.
her. She's really good. And I asked her the same question I want to ask you, and I'll tell her what her experience was like first. The first time that she talked to Patty Gasso, she said one day that her phone rang and she didn't recognize the number, so whatever, she just sent it to voicemail like we do. Later on that day, phone rings again, doesn't recognize the number, quickly just sends it to voicemail, whatever. Calls her a third time and I don't know who this is, but they keep calling me. I guess I'll finally answer it. And when you hear Patty Gasso's voice, you know it's Patty Gasso's voice. She kind of freaked out and ran to her mom and be like, it's Patty Gasso. So I've heard a couple of stories like that before. Do you remember your first interaction with Coach, and what was that like?
Well, I mean, so they used to host the high school OU high school softball tournament, and we would play all over Reeves. I mean, they have tons of fields over there. So we always got to see them kind of with walking around and doing the running the tournament, but also walking around and watching people. And then of course, we held state at the Hall of Fame Stadium, the old Hall of Fame. And then my senior state was actually at OU's field. So we had tons of different interactions. I know that I think she talked to my mom out at nationals, very briefly, nothing exciting, but we had landlines to call on. I mean, if she would have called my mom's cell phone, it would have been 35 cents a minute. So we can't be doing that. So when the landline rang, I didn't even know who was on the other end. It could have been anybody. And I don't remember talking a ton on the phone to her just because we would see each other so often. But I mean, I've said before what she told me when we were in that OU high school tournament, and she took us over to show us Love's Field and to see the progression of everything. And my mom had asked, so-and-so's recruiting Kelly, wants to play here. So-and-so's, where is she going to play? And Coach said, she'll play where she earns the position. And that is the truest Coach Gasso. I've said it hundreds of times, literally the truest Coach Gasso statement ever. And then of course that made my mom really happy, because my mom doesn't want to, she never wanted me. There was a college recruiting me that I will not name any names that was like, oh, you're going to be our star shortstop. You're going to be this and you're going to be that. And they were throwing everything at me. And mom's like, you can't go in there thinking that. You have to go in like you are the bottom. You are the freshman. You carry the nets. You carry the buckets, and you earn your position. So when Coach said that, she nudged me, gave me a little love nudge, and my mom's like, yeah. So I definitely didn't ignore her phone calls because I didn't know who was calling. But we didn't have we had email then, but it wasn't like now. It wasn't used the same way that it is now to find out everything and get every stat detail by the moment. So, but she was just always, very like she does in the interviews when you see her on TV, and she's got her little mic'd up stuff, and she's just very like matter of fact. That's how she is until you get to know her, because she's got to get that, steady, I'm the coach, look on her face. And so that was always the way it was until then you get into the infield and you start joking around with her, and then she starts talking trash because she was a shortstop. That was always fun too. So I definitely didn't ignore her, but I am. If we make it back to Oklahoma to watch some games, I'm going to be like, really? Sent Coach to voicemail? I'm going to have to harass her for that.
Speaking of the freshmen, have you heard about this incoming freshman class? They got like the number 1 player, the number 2 player, the number 4 player, the number 5 player, the number 12 player. There's so much. I mean, OU's had talented freshman classes before. This one really seems like it's talented. But what does it take for a true freshman to play? What's the pressure that's there? I know that you just talked about it, that Patty Gasso doesn't guarantee anything. But what do
No.
you think that's going to be like for this class? It's been talked about for so long now, kind of trying to earn their place. And, another thing that I remind people is, the past 2 years, we've seen like two different true freshmen on both of those teams earn like valuable playing time and get some big starts. Heck, Pick and Parker both started amongst a group of legends during the four-peat. Barker and Garcia did it last year. What do you think that's going to be like for this group that's been talked about so much going into next year?
Well, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of battles at positions. The good thing is coach will probably have, let's say, you have 6 shortstops coming in next year, true actual shortstops. And she probably has got about 3 in her mind that are going to contend for the position legitly. And then the other 3 are probably going to look at second, even though you already have those players there. Like, we have them. They're never set in stone. Coach Gasso will tell you they're never set in stone. So she'll look at those and then they'll battle and, they'll make themselves better, because if as whether doesn't matter what sophomore, junior, senior, you have a freshman coming in that can nip at your heels. That's going to just push you and drive you. And then it's a healthy competition. Coach keeps it healthy, and she will have you set your goals and everything. And it'll just go back and forth, and they'll push each other to be better and better and better. And then if they don't make it at their natural position or the one they got recruited for, they're going to be battling maybe in the outfield or battling for the DH position. Or, coming in from the outfield, shortstop to outfield to first base like Barker. It depends. But I think that's part of what is making OU so great is you keep coming in and having these, these backfill people that will also take your spot if you give them the chance to do it. They Wally Pip you in a minute. But it's also nice to have that backup, because I know there was different years that we didn't even have a true backup to the position. And I just think, iron sharpens iron, how they do the whole, battle in the fall and stuff like that, battle series. It's going to push them to be so much better and then when they do fill that role, when they do get in there, whether it's graduation or they win it outright, the battle just keeps continuing. The one thing I'd have to tell the freshmen, all the incoming freshmen and true freshmen, not the transfers, you've got to stay within yourself while you're doing it. If you start over competing, whether it's you miss a ball and you get frustrated and you throw your tantrum, whether you throw it in your head or you throw it on the field, you've got to calm yourself and work through it and realize you're probably not supposed to be starting in this position anyways. If you do, you've done a ton of things right, and coach has the utmost respect for you, because you're more than likely taking a position from somebody else. So you're that good, but also maintain that, relax, keep it up, and keep pushing. Otherwise you can lose that. So I think going back to the sports psychologist aspect of it, in the breathing, I love the breathing. Because in the police world they teach you breathing for a whole different reason, but the reason's the same in the sense of calming yourself. So, I think it'll all transition so well, and I think I'm more excited for the future right now with what we're backfilling. We'll have our transfers out also, but man, I'll have to say Goose Hutchins. I don't even know her real first name. From Wagner. I didn't even realize she was from Wagner. And I love all these ones coming in from Oklahoma that are small town. I mean, if they're Oklahoma, I'm biased towards them anyways, but small town girls coming in and showing it, I love that. I have no idea where they're going to play because we have so many good people at the other positions, but they'll find a way in. They will find a way in.
Last question, and here's something else that I'm sure you love. And I love the relationship that you still have with your coach. I can just tell how much you deeply care about her and how much she appreciates what you did and how much she cares about you as well. It's just a really cool and fun dynamic. So how do you feel like watching her get to be the head coach of Team USA? Which, by the way, for USA softball was the ideal hire Need to get back and win a gold medal in 2028. Let's go ahead and hire the GOAT. That's a pretty good idea to me. But seeing her get to experience that and lead USA softball and hopefully a gold medal in 2028, that's kind of started this summer. So, as a player of hers, how does that make you feel when you see her get this opportunity?
Well, I love it because I feel like it's there's a perfect time for everything that occurs. And I think this is, she's been out to because the coaches try out just like the players do. And they go out and they'll have 2 or 3 coaches on a team and they'll coach, the whatever number team 1, 2, 3, and they evaluate their coaching like they do. And I say that's how they used to do it. I'm assuming it's probably a similar format. But now with it in literally her backyard, her second home field, because everyone says we have home field advantage there. It's easier. She can be around her family. She can be around her own comfort zone. The grandkids can come watch her, which we all know she loves the most. But it's nice to see that as you watch players grow and you watch coaches grow and adapt, that she's adapted into the perfect fit for this. And I think my favorite part the other day is I saw on the internet a little blip about I got to learn the international rules because they're so different. And they are. Like, a lot of people don't realize, that's half the reason the USA team still wore shorts, because it was an international rule. You had to wear shorts, which weird rule, by the way. But when she was doing practice the other day, she was like, man, I got to learn these rules. So even she knows, as the greatest as she is, the GOAT, she still has a lot to learn with it. And then, of course, the players poke fun out of her because they've been doing it. And so I love it because it's going to just add a whole new package to her toolbox. And I hate to say this because I know the fans don't ever want Coach to retire, because I have a feeling that if she gets, I said 5 years in the SEC and a gold medal, I think that might be the time where she is satisfied enough to hang him up. Now, when I've talked to her, she's told me, I won't hang him up until it's no longer fun. And I also look at her and go, you can't coach till you die. So because she's such a competitor, I can't imagine that ever going away. But I think she has her own goal in her head. And I hope that, and I say I hope, I'm pretty sure she's going to get them all squared away, and we're going to bring back the gold back home, and then we're going to do it in Oklahoma. Yeah, even though it's the LA Olympics, it's the Oklahoma Softball Olympics. I think it's going to happen because it just would, it would be a perfect ending to her years and years and years of softball. Big 12 won all the things, titles won all the things, SEC's won things. I bet you she wants a title in the national championship as an SEC coach, though. That's probably one of those check marks. And then the gold, and then I think she'll be able to retire and live happily watching all of her. Where they have she's got 6 grandchildren now. So, and maybe more. I don't know if DJ and them are planning to have more, but she'll just fall back into being a grandmother, which, by the way, is the sweetest thing. When I watched those videos of her taking the kids out, and I was like, you didn't treat your own kids with that much love and affection. I'm like, JT and DJ are over there like, what? But as all mothers will tell you, they like their grandkids a lot more. So I'm very excited for her to, what I think will be wrapping up her career. But we get her for 4 more years, or 3, I guess, technically, at least. But I still think she won't walk away till she wins a championship, national championship as an SEC team.
You're the best, Kelli. You bring it every single time. You're awesome. Thank you so much, as always.
No problem. Boomer Sooner, guys.